Being nice isn't the problem. It's what the world does to nice people that make them feel alone. Nice people often carry a heart so big that it overwhelms others, but let me tell you, loneliness doesn't mean you're broken. It means your standards are high. It means you're not settling for just anyone to fill your time. And that's power. Nice people are givers by nature. They see someone in need and instinctively step in to help, even when it costs them their time, energy, or resources. This generosity often goes unreciprocated because many people don't fully understand or appreciate the value of selflessness. The more you give, the more others come to expect, creating a cycle where you're pouring from an empty cup. When you constantly give without limits, you unknowingly set a precedent that your needs don't matter. People start to assume that you're okay, even when you're not. They might not even think to ask how you're doing because you've trained them to see you as the one who always has it together. This isolation grows silently until one day you wake up feeling unseen. The harsh reality is that most people are takers, not givers. They take what's offered without considering how it affects the giver. It's not that they're bad people, it's that they've never been taught to think differently. But as a nice person, you must learn to recognize when your giving becomes one-sided. Over time, giving without boundaries can lead to resentment. You start to feel used, unappreciated, and undervalued. These feelings are valid and are a natural consequence of overextending yourself. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to change the dynamic. The solution lies in balance. Giving is beautiful, but it must come with boundaries. You can't pour into others if you're running on empty. Prioritize your well-being and recognize that it's okay to say no sometimes. Learning to give in moderation doesn't make you less kind, it makes you more effective. People will respect you more when they see that your kindness has limits. And when they respect you, they're less likely to take advantage of you. Ultimately, giving without limits isn't sustainable. To be the kind and generous person you aspire to be, you must take care of yourself first. A well-rested, emotionally healthy giver can create far more positive change than one who is burned out and depleted. Conflict is uncomfortable for everyone, but for nice people, it's often unbearable. You go out of your way to avoid confrontation, even if it means sacrificing your own needs or opinions. While this might keep the peace in the short term, it can lead to long-term dissatisfaction and loneliness. When you avoid conflict, you send a message that your feelings and boundaries are negotiable. People may not realize they're overstepping because you never speak up. Over time, this can create an imbalance in relationships where others feel empowered to take more than they give. Avoiding conflict also prevents genuine connections from forming. Real relationships are built on honesty even when it's uncomfortable. If you're constantly agreeing to keep the peace, people never get to know the real you. They see a version of you that's agreeable but not authentic. The fear of conflict often stems from a deeper fear of rejection. You worry that standing up for yourself might push people away. But the truth is, the right people will respect you more when you're honest about your needs and boundaries. Those who leave weren't meant to stay anyway. Learning to embrace conflict doesn't mean becoming aggressive or confrontational. It means having the courage to say, this is what I need, or this doesn't work for me. It's about expressing yourself in a way that's respectful but firm. By facing conflict head-on, you strengthen your relationships. People will appreciate your honesty and value your presence even more. They'll see you as someone who respects themselves and demands respect in return. Avoiding conflict might seem like the easier path, but it often leads to isolation. Embrace the discomfort of speaking up as the key to building deeper, more meaningful connections. Kindness is a rare and beautiful trait, but it's often misunderstood. Many people see it as a weakness rather than a strength. As a nice person, you might find yourself in situations where others take advantage of your good nature, using your kindness for their gain without giving anything in return. This happens because nice people often prioritize others' needs over their own. You might think if I'm kind enough, they'll appreciate me, but that's not always the case. Some people interpret kindness as an invitation to push boundaries and test limits. When someone takes advantage of your kindness, it can feel deeply personal. You start to question your worth, wondering if there's something wrong with you. But the truth is, the problem lies with them, not you. Their behavior is a reflection of their character, not yours. The key to protecting yourself is setting boundaries. Boundaries don't make you less kind, they make your kindness sustainable. They show others that while you're willing to help, you won't tolerate being taken for granted. Establishing boundaries can be challenging, especially if you've spent years saying yes to everything. But it's a skill worth developing. Start small by saying no to things that don't align with your values or drain your energy. Over time, you'll notice a shift. The people who truly care about you will respect your boundaries and appreciate your kindness even more. Those who are only there to take advantage will fade away, leaving space for healthier relationships. Remember, kindness is a gift, not a duty. It's okay to be selective about who you share it with. The right people will treasure it, while the wrong ones won't even notice it's gone. Nice people often feel obligated to say yes to everyone and everything, whether it's helping a friend move, taking on extra work, or listening to someone vent for hours. You agree because you don't want to disappoint anyone. This constant yes becomes a trap, leaving you overcommitted and emotionally exhausted. Saying no feels wrong to you because you equate it with letting people down. Deep inside, you fear that refusing someone might damage the relationship or make them think less of you. But this mindset ignores the toll it takes on your well-being. You're human, and you have limits. Ignoring them doesn't help anyone. The inability to say no also sends the wrong message. It tells people that your time and energy are limitless, which isn't true. Over time, they may start to expect your constant availability, leaving you feeling overwhelmed and undervalued. It's not that they're intentionally taking advantage, it's that you've taught them to expect your yes. Learning to say no is about respecting your own time and priorities. It's not an act of selfishness, it's an act of self-respect. When you say no to things that drain you, you're making room for things that fulfill you. And when you're fulfilled, you're better equipped to be there for others in meaningful ways. The first step to saying no is to reframe your thinking. Understand that every yes you give to someone else is a no to something else, often your own peace or personal goals. Realizing this can help you prioritize what truly matters. Start small. Practice saying no to minor requests that don't align with your priorities. It will feel uncomfortable at first, but with time, you'll notice a sense of empowerment. You'll see that the world doesn't fall apart just because you refuse one request. As you get better at saying no, you'll find that the people who truly value you will respect your boundaries. They'll understand that your kindness isn't unlimited, and that makes it all the more precious. Those who don't respect your no are the ones you're better off without. There's a common misconception that kindness equates to weakness. Nice people often face this unfair judgment because others mistake their compassion and patience for a lack of strength. This misunderstanding can lead to isolation as people fail to recognize the quiet resilience behind a nice person's actions. When you're kind, you prioritize harmony and understanding over aggression. This doesn't mean you're weak. It means you have the self-control to rise above petty conflicts. But not everyone sees it this way. Some might perceive your calm demeanor as an inability to stand up for yourself. This perception can lead to people underestimating you. They might push boundaries thinking you won't resist or dismiss your opinions, assuming you won't fight back. Over time, this treatment can erode your confidence, making you question your strength. What they fail to realize is that true strength isn't about being loud or confrontational. It's about maintaining your values in the face of adversity. Kindness requires courage to care when it's easier to be indifferent, and courage to give when the world seems to only take. The key is to balance your kindness with assertiveness. You can be soft-spoken and still firm. You can be compassionate and still demand respect. It's not about changing who you are. It's about showing people that your kindness is a choice, not a weakness. As you assert yourself more, you'll notice a shift in how people treat you. Those who once underestimated you will begin to see your strength. They'll realize that being kind isn't easy, it's a testament to your character. And those who still fail to see your worth, they were never meant to be part of your journey. Being misunderstood as weak is frustrating, but it's not the end of the story. By standing firm in your kindness and showing your strength when necessary, you'll redefine how the world sees you and, more importantly, how you see yourself. Nice people often hold themselves to high standards, not just in how they treat others, but also in the kind of relationships they seek. You value authenticity, respect, and genuine connection. While these qualities are admirable, they can intimidate people who aren't willing or able to meet those standards. Your high standards are a reflection of your self-worth. You know what you bring to the table, and you're not willing to settle for less. But to those who lack confidence or commitment, your expectations can feel like a threat. Instead of rising to the occasion, they might distance themselves, leaving you feeling alone. This isn't your fault. It's a sign that you're operating at a level that not everyone can reach. The loneliness that comes from holding high standards isn't a punishment, it's a filter. It weeds out the people who aren't ready or willing to match your energy. The challenge is to stay patient. It's tempting to lower your standards just to fill the void, but doing so will only bring temporary comfort. True fulfillment comes from surrounding yourself with people who respect and appreciate your values, not those who take shortcuts to gain your approval. High standards also serve as a source of inspiration. They show others what's possible when you operate with integrity and intention. While some may be intimidated, others will be inspired to grow and meet you where you are. These are the relationships worth waiting for. It's important to remember that your standards aren't too high, they're just right for the life you're building. Don't let the discomfort of loneliness convince you otherwise. Use this time to continue growing and refining yourself so that when the right people come along, you're ready. The people who can't handle your standards aren't rejecting you, they're rejecting the work it takes to rise to your level. That's their loss, not yours. Keep holding your ground, because the ones who truly value you will see your standards as a gift, not a burden. When you're nice, people come to see you as dependable. You're the one they call when they need help, advice, or a listening ear. While this is a testament to your character, it often leads to being overlooked. People start to take your presence for granted because they assume you'll always be there, no matter what. Being reliable means you're consistent. And consistency can sometimes be misinterpreted as unremarkable. Others might seek out more unpredictable or exciting personalities while relying on you as their steady fallback. This dynamic can leave you feeling like you're never anyone's first choice, even though you're always the most trustworthy option. The more reliable you are, the less people stop to consider what you might need. They assume you don't require the same care or attention because you seem so stable. This creates a one-sided dynamic where you're giving support without receiving it in return, leaving you emotionally drained and feeling unseen. Reliability also comes with a hidden burden. People often lean on you without realizing the weight it places on your shoulders. They don't see the sacrifices you make to be there for them because you rarely complain or ask for help. Your silence becomes misinterpreted as ease, making others unaware of your struggles. The challenge lies in breaking the cycle of being perpetually available. It's not about becoming unreliable. It's about reminding people that reliability doesn't mean invulnerability. You have limits and it's okay to express them. Being dependable shouldn't come at the cost of your own needs. When you start setting boundaries, you might notice some pushback. People may not understand why you're suddenly less available, But this shift is necessary. It forces them to see you as a whole person, not just a source of support. This awareness can lead to deeper, more balanced relationships. Reliability is a strength, but it shouldn't define your entire identity. You're more than what you do for others, and people must see and appreciate all aspects of who you are. By balancing reliability with self-care, you create space for others to step up and support you in return. Nice people often hesitate to share their struggles because they don't want to burden others. You may feel that opening up about your problems would inconvenience those around you, so you keep your feelings bottled up. This self-imposed silence can lead to a deep sense of isolation. The reluctance to share stems from a desire to protect others. You care deeply and don't want to add to anyone else's stress. But in doing so, you deny yourself the support and understanding you deserve. Over time, this can make you feel like you're carrying the weight of the world alone. When you avoid sharing your burdens, people may assume you don't have any. They see your calm exterior and think you have it all together. This perception can create a disconnect, making it harder for others to relate to you on a deeper level. Holding everything inside also takes an emotional toll. Bottling up your feelings can lead to resentment, anxiety, or even burnout. It's a heavy load to carry, and without an outlet, it becomes increasingly difficult to manage. Opening up doesn't mean you're weak or needy, it means you're human. Everyone needs support at some point, and sharing your struggles can bring you closer to others. It allows people to see your vulnerabilities, which can deepen your connections and make you feel less alone. Start by sharing small things with those you trust. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but over time you'll realize that the people who care about you want to be there for you. They'll appreciate your honesty and value the opportunity to support you in return. By allowing others to share in your burdens, you create a more balanced dynamic. It shows that relationships are a two-way street and that everyone benefits from giving and receiving support. This mutual understanding is the foundation of meaningful connections. Nice people often attract those who are drawn to their kindness but don't reciprocate it. Your caring nature can act as a magnet for people who are selfish, manipulative, or emotionally unavailable. These relationships can leave you feeling drained and unfulfilled. This happens because your kindness is seen as a resource. People who are struggling or looking for an easy source of comfort may gravitate toward you. While helping others is noble, it becomes problematic when I take without giving anything back. These one-sided relationships can be difficult to recognize at first. You might tell yourself that your role is to help or heal, but over time, the imbalance becomes apparent. You start to feel like you're carrying the relationship on your own with little acknowledgement or appreciation. The issue isn't with your kindness, it's with the boundaries you set. Without clear limits, you leave yourself vulnerable to being taken advantage of. It's not about becoming less nice, it's about being selective about who you invest your time and energy in. Pay attention to the patterns in your relationships. Are you constantly giving without receiving? Do you feel more drained than fulfilled after spending time with certain people? These are signs that it's time to reevaluate the connections in your life. Learning to recognize and avoid toxic relationships doesn't mean you have to become cynical or closed off. It's about protecting your energy so you can be your best self for the people who truly value you. This shift allows you to create space for healthier, more balanced connections. By being more intentional about who you allow into your life, you can surround yourself with people who appreciate your kindness and reciprocate it. This doesn't make you less nice, it makes your kindness even more impactful. Nice people often avoid confrontation at all costs. You prioritize maintaining peace and harmony, even when it means swallowing your pride or letting others get away with the things they shouldn't. While this approach keeps things calm in the moment, it can create long-term issues that leave you feeling invisible and unheard. Avoiding confrontation usually stems from a fear of conflict. You might worry that standing up for yourself will lead to arguments, tension, or even damaged relationships. This fear keeps you silent even when something is bothering you deeply. Over time, this silence can build into resentment. When you don't speak up, others assume everything is fine. They might continue behaviors that hurt or frustrate you simply because they don't know any better. Your silence becomes interpreted as acceptance, which reinforces their actions and leaves you feeling stuck. Prioritizing peace can also make you feel like your voice doesn't matter. When you repeatedly put others' comfort ahead of your own needs, it's easy to start believing that your feelings are less important. This mindset can chip away at your confidence and self-worth. Speaking up doesn't mean you have to abandon your kindness. It's possible to assert yourself respectfully and maintain harmony. The key is to address issues calmly and constructively rather than letting them fester until they become overwhelming. Start by identifying situations where you've avoided confrontation in the past. Reflect on how those moments made you feel and consider what you could have said or done differently. This self-awareness will help you approach future conflicts with more confidence. Learning to prioritize your feelings doesn't make you less nice, it makes you balanced. When you set boundaries and address problems head-on, you create healthier relationships that are built on mutual respect and understanding. Nice people often assume that their kindness will naturally be reciprocated. You believe in treating others the way you want to be treated, and you expect the same in return. While this is a noble mindset, it can lead to disappointment when people don't meet your expectations. The reality is that not everyone shares your values. Some people may take your kindness for granted or see it as an opportunity to take advantage. This doesn't mean your approach is wrong. It means you need to recognize that kindness isn't always met with the same energy. When your expectations aren't met, it's easy to feel hurt or disillusioned. You might start questioning your worth or wondering what you did wrong. But the truth is, their response isn't a reflection of you, it's a reflection of them. Instead of expecting others to treat you the way you treat them, focus on setting boundaries. This doesn't mean lowering your standards or becoming less kind. It means being realistic about what you're willing to give and what you expect in return. Pay attention to patterns in your relationships. Are there people who consistently take without giving? Do you feel drained after interacting with certain individuals? These are signs that your kindness isn't being reciprocated, and it's time to reevaluate those connections. Shifting your mindset from expectation to observation can be liberating. Rather than waiting for others to meet your standards, you can focus on surrounding yourself with people who naturally align with your values. This creates a sense of balance and fulfillment. Expecting kindness in return isn't wrong, it's human. But by letting go of unrealistic expectations and focusing on mutual respect, you can build relationships that truly honor your giving spirit without leaving you feeling empty. Nice people often hesitate to ask for what they truly deserve, whether it's in relationships, at work, or in life in general. You might fear being seen as demanding or ungrateful, so you settle for less than what you're worth. This tendency can leave you feeling undervalued and unappreciated. Asking for what you deserve requires confidence, and that can be challenging when you're used to putting others first. You may convince yourself that it's better to avoid making waves or drawing attention to your needs. Over time, this mindset can lead to feelings of frustration and self-doubt. When you don't advocate for yourself, others may assume you're content with what you have. They might not even realize that you want or need more simply because you haven't spoken up. This lack of communication creates a cycle where your silence reinforces their assumptions. Advocating for yourself doesn't mean you're selfish, it means you recognize your worth. Whether it's asking for a raise, setting boundaries in a relationship, or pursuing your goals, standing up for yourself is an essential part of self-respect. Start small by practicing self-advocacy in low-pressure situations. Whether it's voicing your opinion in a group discussion or asking for help with a task, these small steps will build your confidence over time. Each success will remind you that your voice matters. It's also important to surround yourself with people you encourage and support your growth. When you're around individuals who value your contributions and recognize your potential, it becomes easier to ask for what you deserve without fear of judgment. By learning to assert yourself and claim your worth, you pave the way for a more fulfilling life. You're no longer settling, you're creating opportunities that align with your vision, ensuring that your kindness is met with the respect and appreciation it deserves. So to all the nice people out there feeling alone, you're not broken and you're not wrong. You're just too much for the wrong crowd. Use your solitude to grow, to set boundaries, and to wait for the people who can match your energy. Because being alone with dignity is far better than being surrounded by people who don't appreciate you.